Alright, today we will not be building a simple chat bot app. Instead, we'll be doing this. Alright, check this out.
Hi there. I would be more than happy to help suggest some places for
text
you to visit.
fields
Could you please
whatsoever,
provide me with the
right? It's
following
all via
information?
voice.
1.
Yeah.
What is the name
So
of
we will
the
just
place
wait
you are
for
interested in
it
visiting?
to finish its
2. Do you
verbal
prefer
instructions.
quiet or
Yeah.
lively places?
Which should be soon.
3. What is the date period when you will be going?
Alright, there we go. And let's say, hi, I would like to go to Japan on the first week of May, and I do prefer lively places. Okay, let's see what it suggests us. Yeah. Sometimes it might take a while, but
Great choice.
there we
There are
go.
many lively places to
Right?
visit in
So it
Japan during the
suggested
first
us
week of
Tokyo,
May. Here are my top
Osaka,
recommendations
and
for you.
Kyoto. Right? Notice
1.
that it came with
Tokyo.
images.
Tokyo
Yeah.
is the capital of Japan and has a
And
vibrant
all of
atmosphere with
this
many
was
activities
controlled
to do, such as visiting the city's famous
Yeah.
landmarks, trying
via
different types of food,
voice.
and shopping in the trendy districts like Shibuya and Shinjuku. 2. Osaka. Osaka is known as Japan's food capital and is a lively city with many restaurants, bars, and entertainment activities. You can also visit the Osaka Castle or Universal Studios Japan for some fun. 3. Kyoto. Kyoto is a city rich in history and culture. It has many temples and shrines, including the famous Fushimi Inari Shrine. You can also try traditional Japanese cuisine or attend a tea ceremony. All of these places are great options for a lively trip to Japan during the first week of May. Enjoy your trip.
Yeah, so notice that it recommended us Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, right? With 3 very nice images search via Google. Yeah. And all of this, right, controlled via voice. Yeah, we didn't have to enter any text fields. Yeah. Intrigued? Let's get started right away. Alright, we're going to start things off right away in our terminal, okay, by creating the app using Next.JS. Yeah. So without further ado, let's do npx create -next-app add latest -x experimental -app enter, and it should prompt us let's say yes, and let's call this, you know what should we call this? Okay, you know what, let's call this go where GPT. Alright, enter. Oh, alright, no longer contain capital letters. Oh, in that case, let's do go where GPT. Alright, of course, we're going to use TypeScript, ESLint, TailwindCSS, definitely. And yes, we're going to use the src. Okay, let's wait for it to install the various dependencies, yeah? Alright, and it has installed the various dependencies. Okay, let's go into the directory. So go -where -gpt. You can see all the files generated by Next.js 13, right? Let's clear that. Okay, so next we need to install the packages that we need, right, for this to work. Yeah. So let's do yarn add. First, obviously, we need TailwindCSS, right? And of course, right, post CSS and auto prefixer. Yeah. So those are also required for TailwindCSS to work. And of course, later we'll do the configuration for them. Yeah. Okay, next we need Loti React. So this is just to display the loading animation when we are retrieving the response from GPT. Yeah. Or the OpenAI's API. Right? And next we need Zustand. Right? Just to have a shared store to make it easier for us to share states. Yeah. And next we need React-speech recognition. Yeah. Damn. Spelling, man. Spelling. Alright, so this is what we'll be using to capture our speech and convert that into text. And then we'll send that text, right, as the prompt to OpenAI GPT models. Yeah. Okay, and the reverse. Okay, we need React Speech Kit. Okay, in order to convert the response, right, from GPT, right, from text to speech. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we'll be using React Speech Kit for. Yeah, and because we are using React Speech Recognition, it does require this, right, regenerator, right, runtime. Yeah, if not, it will throw an error. Yeah, so we need this. Yeah. All right, types, regenerator runtime. We will also need types for React Speech Recognition. Yeah, because we're using TypeScript. Yeah. Same goes for React-Speech-Kit. Yeah. And last, we need just template, which is just a very handy, very handy tool for you to work with utils, yeah, and environmental variables, yeah, or even just setting out things like routes, yeah, so that you don't have hard-coded stuff in your components, right? Later we'll check this out, yeah. So enter, and let's wait for everything to install, which might need to take a while, yeah. All right, and we are done with installing those packages. Okay, next up, let's configure TailwindCSS. All right, let's go to our browser again. So over here, right, so this is a page on Next.JS 13 documentation where it kind of shows you how to configure TailwindCSS, right, especially for Next.JS 13, right, to do it step by step. Right, I will share this link in the description boxes below as usual, yeah. Okay, but basically now that we have added the packages for TailwindCSS, okay, all we have to do is, right, copy the portion here, which is for content, right, in tailwind.config.js. Right, let's go back to our VS Code to do just that, yeah. All right, so now we are in our VS Code. As you can see, we are in our next.config.js. If we go to our Tailwind, you can see that we already have the block in content. And if we go to global.css, you can see that this is already set up, yeah, for our Next.js 13, right? So that's how you can set up your Tailwind CSS for Next.js 13, yeah. All right, next, for React Speech Recognition, right, we do need to add something for our main page.tsx all the way at the top. Okay, so for example, we need to add import regenerator dash runtime. Yeah, so we need to do that all the way at the top. Okay, as you can see, it gives us an error. So we need to add that as a package as well. So let's do that. All right, let's go back to our terminal. So now that we're in our terminal, okay, all we have to do is say yarn add regenerator dash runtime. Yeah. All right, and that is done. Let me just go and clear that. Okay, so now there are actually two more things that we need, right, before we actually start working on the app. And first is OpenAI API key, right? We need that to get the responses from GPT model. And secondly, we need a API key, right, for Google's custom search API, right, which will allow us to get those images, yeah, based on the search term, right? So let's get to those right away. All right, so let's go back to Chrome. Okay, and as you can see, I do already have the tab open. Right, first let's go to the Google's custom search API. So later I will put the link, okay, once again, the link in the description box below or in one of the pinned comments, right? So basically, if you have a Gmail account, right, log in to that, right, go to developers.google.com/custom-search, yeah. And if you scroll down here to this, let me just zoom in to let you see, right, to this API key section here, yeah. Let me just highlight this. Yeah, this is what you need, right? So click on get a key. Yeah, so click on that. Wait for it to load, and it should ask you to choose or select or create a project. Yeah. Okay, once you have done so, follow the instructions. Yeah. Okay, follow the instructions in order to get your key. Okay, of course, I'm not going to show you the key here. Yeah, that's just exposing my own API key. Okay, once you have done that, copy that key, and let's go back to VS Code because you need to copy and paste that key in an env file. Right, so if we go back to VS Code now, right, VS Code, right, here in VS Code, okay, in the root directory, I repeat once again, right above me, root directory. Okay, we're going to create a new file. Let's call this .env. Okay, what we're going to do here is, let's say this is the custom search API key, right? And then you just put your key here, all right? So that is where you'll paste the API key that you have just gotten from Google, right? Save that. And since we are here, okay, we might as well create one for the OpenAI key as well, or API key, yeah? Okay, but let's go back to Chrome. All right, we're back in Chrome. And okay, we're going to do the same thing, or more or less the same thing. Go to OpenAI, create an account if you have not already done so. All right, create an account. You might or might not be able to get the trial credits, right? If not, you might need a credit card or debit card, yeah, to enable the billing on your account, right? Once you have created an account, and that's where you can view your API keys over here. So if I zoom in here, yeah, you can see under your account management page, right? You should be at the API keys section here. Yeah, so this key right here, if you don't have something similar to what we are looking at right now, click on this create new secret key button. Yeah, and give it a name, right? Any name here. Yeah, any name here. And click the create secret key button. Yeah. Okay, that should generate a key, right? A key. Copy that, right? Of course, not this. Yeah, this is just a sample, but copy a real key, all right? And let's go back to VS Code. Yeah. And paste the key here, right? Put your OpenAI key here, all right? So once again, obviously, I'm not going to show you my real API key here, yeah? Yeah, so paste your real API key here, and then we can actually get started, all right? Let's go. All right, okay, now that you have pasted your OpenAI API key here, okay, there's actually just one more thing that we need, right, in order for the Google's custom search API to work, and that is an Google search engine ID, right? So let's just copy that here. Okay, let's do search engine ID, right? Same thing here, put your key here. Okay, I will explain what this is about. Okay, to do so, let's go back to Chrome, yeah. All right, so the same place where we got our API key, if you check the previous portion, the previous section here, right? It talks about this engine ID that you need. So basically you need this engine ID together with your API key. Yeah. So click on this link here that says programmable search engine control panel. Yeah. So click on that, wait for it to load, right? And you can see a list of search engines that you might or might not have. If you do not have one, click on add. Yeah. And this will allow you to create a new search engine. Give it any name you want. Let me just zoom in so you can see what we're typing here. So once again, name of engine here. All right, that's anything up to you. Okay, we can say search the entire web. And for us, for this app that we are building, okay, we are just going to be focusing on image search. Yeah. Right. And click on create. Okay, wait for it to load. Yeah. As you can see, okay, let me just zoom in once again. Yeah. Okay, now it says that we have created your new search engine, right? So basically your search engine ID is this here, right here. Your CX equals to, this is fine. Obviously, I'm going to delete this, right? So if you're watching this, you won't be able to use this. So use your own CX key, right? So copy that, yeah, copy that. Let's go back to VS Code. Right, and paste it over here, yeah. All right, and now we are truly good to go, right, to start working on our app. All right, now we are in VS Code. Okay, first let's get the app up and running, right? So to do so, we need to go back to terminal. All right, and let's do a yarn dev. All right, our app should be up and running now. Okay, let's go back to VS Code. Okay, and on the right, all the way to the right, yeah. Let's refresh the page and let's see what we get. All right, there we go, our default page.tsx, yeah, in the root layout. Yeah, so we do not need a lot of things here actually. Yeah, so we're going to remove most of it. Let's remove, say, this portion here. Yeah, we don't need it. Save. Right, the top portion is gone. Same for here. Let's remove that. Save. You see, we are removing a lot of unnecessary stuff here. And let's remove that as well. Save, and it should be blank. Yep. All right, so before we actually start working on the main page, okay, let's start by setting up our project directory. Yeah, because we have quite a lot of folders some folders to create. Yeah. All right. First up, let's create a core directory, right, inside our src, our source folder. Yeah, so let's call this core. All right. And in here, okay, we have a routes folder. Okay, we also have a services folder. Yeah, so routes, right? It's just for API routes. Yeah, API routes. Right, services, you can think of services as service helper. Yeah, to help us communicate with the backend when necessary. Yeah. Okay, and we also need types, yeah, for shared types, yeah. After all, we are using TypeScript, yeah. Okay, and lastly, we need a store. All right. Okay, to get started, we also need a components folder, yeah, but that will not be in core. Let's put it out of core, yeah. Okay, let's put it under src. So let's call this components. All right. Yeah. Okay, and in components, let's say we need just a button, right? Remember that orange button you saw? Yeah, we need that. So let's create a buttons directory. All right. So we also need, say, a list. Yeah. So notice, remember the list of results. Yeah. So that is actually a list component. Yeah. So let's create a folder for that as well. So list. Yeah. So we haven't actually created any new components yet, but we'll get to that. Yeah. Okay, so first thing first. Okay, we'll also need to set up an API folder, right, under the app subdirectory as well. Oh, okay, we already have it. Okay, but let's delete this hello route because we do not need that. All right, let's delete that. Yep, it's gone now. Okay, we're going to create a new folder. Okay, and we'll be using this as the backend API route. Yeah. Okay, so first thing first, let's call this chat. All right, and in it, we'll say route.ts. Yeah, we'll come back to this file later. Yeah. Okay, but first thing first, we need to go back to our main page.tsx. Yeah. Okay, page.tsx. Okay, and let's start to modify, okay, the main page. Yeah. Let's remove things that we do not need for now. Let's remove this. All right, save that. All right. And let's start by removing main as well. Okay, I'm more used to using a div here. And because we already have TailwindCSS, so we can do things like this. Yeah. And in it, let's put a header. Yeah, a big header. Okay, let's do... Okay, we'll come back to the styling later, but let's do maybe a H2. Alright, let me know if the text is too small. Let me just increase the size even bigger. Yeah, so you can see what we are typing here. Alright, so H2, let's do where to explore. Alright, save that, and you should see, right, or where to explore appear all the way on the browser, right, Chrome. Alright, let's do some styling. Yeah, and to do so, we're going to put this header in another div so that it makes it easier for us to centralize it. Yeah. Okay, so we'll say for its wrapping containing div, okay, we'll say give it a max width of 3/4. I mean a width of 3/4 of the page and a max width of, say, 768 pixels. Yeah. So we want it to still maintain that width even if you use this app from a very big and wide screen. Yeah. From a desktop. Maybe. Yeah. And then maybe some padding from the top and auto margin, yeah, to help centralize it easily. Yeah. And of course, to do so, okay, we need some spacing from the top. Let's say padding 12 from the top. Let's refresh the page. All right, and let's say font extra bold. Okay, increase the size of the font and maybe some padding at the bottom. Save that. There we go. A huge ass header title. Yeah, so that is our first addition to our home page. Yeah. Alright, next, if you notice on Chrome all the way to the right, right, if you notice the title of the app, it still says create next app, right? So that's part of the metadata we are about to change now. All right, so let's go to the root layout. Right, over here you can see this export constant metadata. Yeah, so we're going to change that. Right, let's call this where to explore. Right, powered by GPT. Right, it can be GPT-4 or 3.5, right, depending on whether you have the access to GPT-4. Yeah, and description, let's change it to a GPT powered voice app that recommends you places to explore or check out. Save that. Right, and you can see on the right, the title has changed. Yeah. Right, it now says where to explore. Yeah. All right, so let's go back to our main page, right? Page.tsx. Okay, so next we're going to add the other bottom section, the passage of text, right below the header text. Yeah. So let's create another portion here. Let's give it some styling as well. Some additional padding, yeah, if needed. Actually, for now, okay, we are just gonna set the size, the font size, yeah. All right. Okay, and for now, let's say use your voice to converse in this GPT-powered app, yeah, to get suggestions on places to go, yeah, in the country you wish to visit. Right, and we'll say simply tap on the button below to start the conversation. Yeah, and a full stop. Save that. And you can see obviously it's not going to be styled nicely. Yeah, which is what we're going to change right now. Yeah. All right, we'll give it just some additional padding. Yeah, so maybe on the left. Let's see how this goes, and maybe some additional padding along the x-axis. Yeah, all right, there we go. It looks much better now. Yeah. All right, so we need that orange button as well. So let's create that button in our components folder. Yeah. All right, so let's go to buttons and let's create a new component, right? Called button.tsx. Yeah. Okay, because this is a button, there will be events. So this will be a client component. Yeah. Okay, let's create the component here. Right, I'm used to using props, so let's do that. Button props, which is not defined yet, which is why we're going to do it now. This will be button props. We need a title, which can be a string, and we need a callback. All right, that will be triggered when the button is called. All right, and obviously we need the title itself. Right, so this will be title, set title. This is going to be a string, props.title. Right, import from React. Yeah. All right. Okay, we need to create a function. Yeah, that is called whenever the button is click or tap on. Right, first we need to prevent default. Yeah, so it doesn't submit anything, and then we just do a callback. Yeah, okay, to call the actual function that we want to trigger whenever the user click or taps on the button, right? So this should allow the button to be more reusable, yeah. And over here, we'll just return the button itself, right? The UI part of the button. All right, let's do input type equals to submit. All right. And of course, on click will be, you guess it, on submit. Yeah. And the value, okay, obviously we're going to display the title. Yeah. And all right, let's see what it looks like without any styling. Yeah. So save that. Okay, and if we go back to our default, okay, our page.tsx. Okay, let's put the button in here. Yeah. Okay, let's find a good place to place the button here. Okay, I would say let's put it directly below the text. Yeah. Let's do it here. All right. Maybe some spacing in between. Yeah. Let's do padding 12. And let's put our button here. Right. You can see VS Code is trying to tell us that, hey, I can import that automatically for you. All right. And title, obviously this is, let's go, man. And callback, we'll say start conversation, which is a function that we have not created yet. Yeah. So let's create that function now. Let's do function start conversation. Yeah. Save that. All right. Functions cannot be passed directly to client components unless you expose it by marking it with use server. Aha. Okay. All right. So to fix this error, and this is because right now, home, our default page.tsx is a server component. All right. And button over here, because there are events on the front end, yeah, it's a client component. And that is why we cannot exactly just pass this function to it. Right? We need to convert home to a client component, yeah, because we need to pass the function to it. Yeah. Right, as you can see, now we have resolved the error. And you can see our button is over here, although there's not much styling. Okay, but to test that it works, let's do a simple alert. And if we click on it, right, notice that, okay, you might not be able to see the alert, but let's do a console log. Yeah. Let's do alert. Yeah. So if we show the inspector here, let me just change the order. All right, so if I click, let's go. All right, notice I'm clicking on let's go, and it is logging to the console. Yeah. All right, let's close that. All right, let's remove this console log, save that, and let's go back to our button component to style it properly. Yeah. All right, so let's do just that. So class name equals to, let's make it rounded. Make it an orange button, as what you saw during the intro of this video. A full height. Okay, what else? I mean, a full width, yeah. Height of 16, which is around 64 pixels. Give it a cursor pointer. Alright, save. Let's see what it looks like now. Okay, notice that it is occupying the entire width, yeah, of the screen, which is not what we want. Yeah, so once again, let's do some padding along the x-axis as usual. All right, yeah. Actually, it is fine for us to do this. Yep, this looks better. Yep, all right. Okay, but you might notice that, okay, right now I'm using my mouse to hover over the button, but nothing is happening. Okay, yeah, to fix that, we're going to add a simple animation using TailwindCSS. Yeah. Right, so coming back to here, I'm going to say hover, right, bg-orange 400. So what this means is that whenever you hover the mouse over this button, right, it will change color to a lighter orange. Yeah, so if I save, if I hover, right, notice that it changes color, right, it's color. Yeah, but it is kind of immediate, right? There's no in-between animation, right? There's no transition whatsoever. Yeah, so we're going to change and resolve that as well, right? By doing a transition here. So we'll say transition or, right, give it a slightly slower duration, save that, and watch what happens when I hover my mouse over the button. Right, notice that it slowly fades to either the darker or orange or lighter orange. Yeah. Okay, but we can further improve that because right now the fading is, the animation transition is kind of linear. Yeah, so that means it happens at a constant speed, which is not that all interesting at all. Yeah, so we're gonna do ease in. Yeah. Right. Save that. And now if we hover over the mouse, right, notice that this transition is much more interesting. Yeah. So these are simple things that you can do to spice up your app. All right. All right, moving on. All right, next we want the conversation to start, right? We want this to work, right? This start conversation, right? We want to work on this next. Okay, whenever someone clicks on this let's go button. Yeah, but in order for that to happen, we need to have the backend ready. Yeah, and in order to have the backend ready, we need to work on the core folder here, right? So first up, okay, we need to work on the types, yeah, because we're using TypeScript, right? So let's create a new file. Let's call this types.ts, yeah. All right, so first up, okay, we need a message type, okay. So this is also based on OpenAI's API documentation. Yeah. So obviously this is going to be a string, and we need a content as well. So role here can either be system, user, or, well, more or less. Yeah. All right. And we also need something called suggestion item. Yeah, so these are, you can call it whatever you want. I'm calling it suggestion item. So what this is, right? So this will be used for the type for each of the list item, yeah, in the results, right? The list of results. Yeah, so for that we need an ID as the key, all right? The name of the place, which will also be used by the Google's custom search API, right? So that it knows what to search for. Yeah, and the description of the place. Yeah, so that is also part of the search results. Yeah, and okay, we need something called search result item. So let me just create this. Okay, so this is basically what we get, yeah, from Google search. So let's create that right now. All right, you can call it whatever you want. Okay, but basically, okay, I'm going to call it search result item. Yeah, so this will be the type or interface for the results and attributes, right, returned by Google. Okay, whenever you use the custom search API, right, I'm just going to copy and paste, okay, what we have here, and it is also going to return an image, yeah, which is, okay, something that contains the information, yeah, for the image. Yeah, so all of these are attributes according to the API specifications from the Google Custom Search API. I will put the link to that right in the either the description box below or one of the pinned comments below as well. Yeah. Right. So yeah, same thing here. Okay, but we really just want the link here. Yeah. The rest are just up to you if you want to use them or not. Yeah. Okay, and last but not least, okay, we want another interface, right, to wrap around the entire Google search result. Okay, I mean, this can be whatever you want the name to be, but okay, I'm going to call it Google search result. Yeah. Okay, and okay, mainly we want the items in it, right? And as you have guessed it, the items are an array of search result item. Yeah, so we'll be using mainly this, and the search results items link, yeah, to display each and every image pertaining to our search results. Yeah. So in terms of types, we are good to go. All right. So moving on. Next, we have to start on getting the backend up. Right. So let's go to API chat and browse. Yeah. So this is what we'll be working on next. All right. So with Next.JS 13.2 onwards, right, we have custom API handlers, right, even under the app subdirectory. Yeah, so we can do things like this. Yeah, right, which give us a much easier way to identify post, fetch, get, delete, patch, update methods. Yeah. Okay, we need to import this for next request. So let's do import type next request from next-server. Yep. Okay. Okay, and most likely we'll also be using the message type. Yeah, because we need to send that to the Open API endpoint. Yeah, which follows the message type. Yeah. From, let's do, okay, types/types. Yeah. Or is it underscore? Yep. Okay, it's underscore. Yeah. All right, over here, let's write some comments which will help us in the future if we do return to change the code here. Yeah. So first we get the details from the front end. Let's say body. Right, we get the body by doing this. Await request.text, and then we convert it to a JSON. I mean, we reverse it, yeah, by using JSON.parse body. Yep. Okay, next we'll need to create an array of messages, yeah, because if we go back to the OpenAI API documentation, and let's go to Chrome here. Yeah, if we check out the documentation here, and let's go to chat completion, right? You can see that. Okay, you can see this array of messages. Yeah, so this is what we'll be working on next. Yeah, you can see it follows a row and a content. Yeah. So the way in which this works is we need to frame, or rather give the app a persona, right? Using GPT, yeah, via this system, right? Over here, this system row, and say something along the lines of you are a helpful assistant in this or that. Yeah, so that's how we are going to approach this. Yeah, let's go back to VS Code. All right, so here at the back end, okay, let's first create an array of messages. Yeah, and we'll say messages, which is it is an array of messages. Yeah, of course, it'll be empty for now. Yeah. Okay, so as mentioned, first we preset the GPT model as an excellent event planner who can help suggest places to explore. Yeah, right. So basically, we create a new message here. All right. And the row will be, you guess it, system. And the content. Okay, we'll say you are an excellent event planner. All right. Let's say who can help suggest places for people to visit or check out. All right. Ask people for 3 pieces of information. If you remember the 3 pieces of information right at the start of this video. Okay, first we have the name of the place. Next we have if they liked quiet or lively places. And lastly, the date period where, or rather when, they will be going. Full stop. Yeah. Oh, that is a mouthful, man. All right, and we'll add it to the array. Yeah. New message. All right. Okay, so next, okay, what we have to do is to get the rest of the conversation or any other messages, right, especially provided by the user, for example, you, right? The rest of the conversation from the front end. Yeah. So let's create an array. Yeah, because the conversation from the front end can be maybe a few messages. Yeah, it might not be just one. Yeah, so we have to be careful. So remember body JSON that we created here. Okay, yeah, it should contain a conversation. Yeah, so we'll handle that on the front end later. Yeah, so conversation, okay, we'll loop through it. Okay, and we know that each conversation is a message. Yeah, we'll handle that on the front end as well. Yeah. All right, and we'll just add it to the array. Yeah. I mean, this is just one way of doing it. Okay. Not the smartest way, but a quick and dirty way. Yeah. Okay, next we need to configure the body to send to OpenAI. Yeah, so that we can get the proper response. Yeah, from the GPT model. right? So this will be creating the body to send to ChatGPT's API. Yeah. We'll call it this body to send. Yeah. So we need the model. Okay, that will be, for now, let's use GPT 3.5 Turbo 0301. Yeah. You can change this to GPT-4 if you have access to GPT-4. Yeah. We'll set the temperature slightly higher, maybe 0.7. So what this temperature does is, the max is 1. Yeah, I mean default is also 1. And the lowest value is 0. So if you go, as you go closer towards 1, right, the GPT model, the response from that becomes more creative. Yeah, so there are more variety of answers the nearer you get to 1. Yeah, but if you want your answers to be always the same, right, more or less the same, move it or set it closer to 0. Yeah, right? And of course, lastly, we need to pass in our messages. Yeah. All right. All right, next. Okay, now is the actual sending of our body. So we'll say response. Okay, we need to await a fetch. Okay, over here we just need to copy the URL which you saw just now for the OpenAI endpoint, yeah, which is api.openai.com/version1/chat/completions. Yeah, and because this is a post method, yeah, we need to specify some information here. For example, method, this will be post headers. We'll just say content dash type. Right, application JSON. Okay, and we need the API key here. Okay, so let's do authorization. Okay, barrier, give it a small space, and this is where we pass in the API key. Yeah. So remember what you name it. Okay, so I name it OpenAI underscore API underscore key in our env file over here. Yeah, I'm not going to show you my API key. Yeah. Yeah, you think you almost got me, but no. Yeah. Okay, and lastly, our body. Yeah, we need to convert it to a JSON string. Yeah, so we do stringify body to send. Yeah. Right, so getting the JSON after the promise is fulfilled. Right, so this will be await respond.json. All right, so we have the JSON here. Right, this will be our eventual return message. For now, let's put it as empty. Yeah. Okay, so we'll say if we have a response with answers, yeah, from GPT. Yeah. Okay. Response message. So GPT will give us an array of choices. We'll just get the first answer. Okay, and it is hidden in message.content. Yeah. And we'll just assign it back to return message. Yeah, so this is just one way of doing it. Yeah. I mean, there are many other ways of doing it, but this is how we are doing it. And lastly, we just say return new response with the return message. Save that, and that is all we have to do for the backend endpoint, yeah, for this route.ts, yeah. Moving on, let's go back to our call. All right, next we need to go back to our call. All right, so let's go to call routes over here. Okay, we're going to create a new route file. Okay, let's call this routes.ts. Yeah. Okay, and we're just going to go copy and paste what I've already typed out previously. Okay, but basically what this does is to set up two routes. Okay, one for the Google search, custom search API. Okay, and one for our GPT response, which is the endpoint that we just created. Yeah. So over here, this is where you will use, right, to get the image for each of the items, right, which are also part of the search result. Yeah. You can see over here, okay, we have this Google custom search key. Same here, Google search engine ID and the search term. Yeah, so these are the three things that you need. Yeah. All right, save that. All right, next, okay, we need to work on our service or services in the core here. Yeah, so to do that, okay, let's create GPT service.ts. Yeah. Okay, so over here, we're going to create a new function. Let's create a new function here. Let's call this send query. Yeah. And okay, because we want to send the entire conversation. Yeah. So this will be conversation, which once again is an array of messages. Yeah. Okay, and of course we need to import our message type, okay, that we created previously. Yeah. Okay, so over here, okay, basically we just need to use fetch to do a post, yeah, by configuring the method to do so. Yeah, so we'll say result equals to await fetch. Okay, and over here, okay, remember the new routes that we just created. Yeah, so routes dot, actually tab first and then dot, okay, get GPT response. Yeah, so this is the route that we'll be using, comma, and okay, we'll need to configure things like method. Okay, once again, this is a post method. Yeah, so this post will go to this API here, right? Handled by this API handler. Yeah. Okay, and let's do some headers as well. Okay, once again, content type application JSON. Yeah. And we need to send the conversation over. Okay, once again, as a stringified JSON. Yeah. So this will just be conversation. All right. And lastly, let's get the response back from that endpoint that we just created as well. So result.text. And let's return that response back to the front end. So basically for this GPT service, that is it. Yeah. All right. Now that we have created GPT service, okay, and we also have our types created. Since we are using TypeScript, there's something that we can now do, and that is create our shared store, right, using Zustand. Yeah. Okay, so let's create a new store. Let's call this shared store.ts. Yeah, so this is where we'll use Zustand to create our store. All right. So firstly, we need to import create from Zustand. Right, that's a typo. All right. Okay, we need to do single quotes. Yep, there we go. Wait, did we not add Zustand? Yep, we did not. It does happen. Yeah. All right, let's go back to our terminal then. All right, clear that and let's add Zustand. This will take a while, but should be, and we are done. All right, let's start the app again. And let's go back to VS Code. All right, and this should work now, right? Okay, so let's create an interface for our shared store. Let's call it shared state. So first up, we need a list of items or answers or response from GPT. So let's say suggestions. Okay, an array of suggestions items. Yeah. Okay, we also need the response, which are not part of the suggestions. Yeah. And we need the array of messages. Yeah. So basically the entire conversation, which will also help GPT understand the context better. Yeah. All right. So obviously we need to import message here as well. Okay, now that we have done so, we can use shared store. This name here is up to you, but I'm calling it use shared store. All right, so this is create shared state that we just created above. Yeah, and we'll call set. I mean, it's not necessary, but I'm used to doing so. Yeah. And we'll pass in suggestions. Okay, we initialize it with an empty array, empty string for response, and empty array for conversation. Yeah. And we will just export this use shared store. All right, save that, and let's go back to our default page.tsx. All right, now that we have created the store, okay, let's go back to our main page. Okay, main default page.tsx. Okay, and let's start to work on this start conversation function. Yeah. Okay, and you might have guessed it by now, it needs to be async. Yeah, because a lot of things needs to be async here. All right, so if you remember at the start of the video, okay, what happens is when you click on this button here, right, we change the text here, we remove it, or rather we hide it, and we hide the button as well, and we straight away display the initial instruction from GPT. Yeah, so we are just going to change that, right, by using a simple state, a local state variable. Yeah, so let's call this if started. Yeah, it will just be a simple boolean. Yeah. Okay, and of course this needs to be imported. Yeah. Okay, and over here, start conversation. Okay, we'll say if, not if started. All right, else. Yeah, actually no, we do not need that. Yeah, and we'll say set if started is true, so that this will only happen once. Yeah. Okay, and next, let's create a new function. Let's call this send conversation to GPT. All right, and of course it needs to be a sync. Yeah. Okay, and because we are sending a conversation to GPT, remember we need to send. Okay, so if we go back to the endpoint here, remember we need to send a list of messages. Yeah, so let's do that here as well. So let's call this maybe conversations. This will be message. Actually, let's call this updated conversations. Yeah, since this will be the updated version. Okay, and let's make sure we import the message type. Yeah, and okay, we need a boolean so that we know if this is the initial conversation or if this is actually us telling GPT what we want, our preference. Yeah, so I will say if final, right? This will be a boolean. Yep. Okay, and over here we'll just say GPT response, which should be a string equals to await. Okay, so remember that we created GPTService here, and we have this send query method. That is what we're going to use here. Right, so send query, right, and we'll just pass in the updated conversations. Yep. All right, and okay, we need to do some formatting. Okay, if not, okay, let me just show you what we get if we do not do any formatting. Yeah, so let's say response. You know what? It is time to use our Zustand shared store. Yeah, so we can say use shared store. So this is if you want to update the store. Yeah, so use shared store is what we created here. Yeah, use shared store. All right, so VS Code has already imported it automatically for us. So if we want to update response in it, okay, remember we have this response here. Okay, we'll just say dot set state and we'll just target response. Yeah, and this will be GPT response. Yeah, so if we save this, all right, conversation, yeah, let's display that response here in the render block as well. Let's put it maybe just above the button here. Okay, I'm just going to randomly insert it here for now. Okay, so because it is going to contain some HTML, right, we're going to use this, right, dangerously set inner HTML to help us format it. Yeah, right, so underscore HTML, and this will be response. Okay, and this is why we need to. So notice that response is not defined yet, and that is because we have not done so using the new shared store. Yeah, so you can do so by retrieving the value from the shared store by declaring response here and using shared store and selecting state.response, right, so that it is only for response. Yeah, so you can see now it works. Yeah, okay, but of course we need to close that div. Yeah, all right, save that. Okay, now we need to actually call this, right, send conversation to GPT function. Okay, but to do so, we also need to get the conversation from the store. Yeah, because that is where we actually keep track of the current conversation. Yeah, so above here, let's do conversation. Okay, it is once again an array of messages. Yeah, same thing here. Okay, but instead of response, we will get conversation. Yeah, save that, and in this start conversation method or function, okay, we are going to send, or rather call the send conversation to GPT function that we created below, and we'll just pass in, you guess it, conversation. And we'll say, if this is final, we'll say false. Yeah, for now. Actually, let's do it the reverse. Yeah, let's do true. And let's change this to if start. Yeah, save that. Okay, so what is going to happen now is if we click, okay, if this works, if we click on let's go, okay, we should get some text inserted above the button. All right, so let's test that. All right, I'm just going to refresh the page. Yeah, okay, and if we click on let's go, there we go. Then you can see that, okay, it is telling us it is an event planner, right? And please provide him or her with the following information. Yeah, so this is basically what we specified, okay, at the back end. Yeah, so this is the response from GPT. Yeah. Right, so now that you see that the endpoint works, right, let's continue working on the front end. Yeah. We do need to do some formatting to make it look nicer, and at the same time we do want this portion here to be gone, okay, and the button to be gone whenever this initial instruction appears. Okay, but first let's format the text nicely. Yeah, so to do so, we're going to add more stuff to this send conversation to GPT function. Yeah. Okay, and of course, in between this updating and saving of the response in the shared store. Yeah. Okay, so first up, okay, we will need to create another string because we're going to make some changes to the response. Yeah. So let's say we want to format the passage of text. We'll say display text equals to format passage GPT response. Yeah. Okay, and of course we have not created this function yet, so let's do that now. Yeah. Okay, so function, okay, format passage. Obviously this will be a string. Okay, we'll just return passage dot replace all. Okay, so ChatGPT does have some break lines in it. Okay, so we'll replace all break lines, which is a /n, with a break line and a HTML tag for break lines. Yeah, so that it will actually look nicer. Yeah. So if we refresh the page now, and if we click on the button again, okay, wait for it. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's formatting properly. And let's see why that is so. Oh, my bad. And that is because over here, we are still using the unformatted GPT response here to save to response in a shared store. Right, so we need to use the display text instead. Right, so save that. And let's try out this again. Right, so I've already clicked on the button. Let's wait for it. And there we go. You can see that there's a nice spacing in between the list of information that GPT needs. Yeah, and the question here as well. Yeah, now we just need to format it nicely. Right, and of course we do want this portion here to hide itself. Yeah, so let's do that. So let's say we should only show it if we have not the user have not clicked on started. Yeah. Right, same goes for the button actually. Yeah, so let's put the button below here as well. And of course that will give us an error because we need a single unwrapping component tag. Yeah. And that should fix that error. Alright, so save that. And there you go. The button and the initial text, right, is gone. Yeah. Alright, now we need to style this properly. Yeah. Okay, so once again, TailwindCSS. Let's do maybe some padding along the x-axis. Maybe slightly more, yeah. Alright, looks good. Okay, looks much better now. Right, next. Okay, so remember we had a circular button with a logo or icon below this passage of text. And that was the button which allows you to record your voice as well. Yeah, so we are going to work on that next. Alright, to do so, we will need to install yet another package called React-Icons. Yeah, so you know it. Let's go back to terminal. Alright, let's clear this and let's add React-Icons. This will take a while. Okay, and we are done. Let's start the app again. And let's go back to VS Code. Alright. So we want that button or the circular button to appear below, right, this initial instruction, right? So that should be below this portion here. Okay. Okay, so first let's create the logo itself. So for example, okay, it does, okay, if I recall, we can use this. And this can be imported from React-Icons. Yeah. Alright. So we're going to be using MD settings voice and MD outline settings voice. Yeah, both of them actually. Alright. So to show you what they look like, yeah. MD settings voice, right, a small d, my bad. Yeah. So if I save this, and let's style it with TailwindCSS once again, as always. Give it a width and a height. And maybe some spacing. Yeah. At the top and the left. And maybe some color as well. Yeah, save that. Right, so if we refresh the app, okay, now you can see it appear at the bottom. Yeah, okay, but obviously we only want this color of the icon to only appear when the app is listening to your voice. Yeah, so to do that, okay, we need to bring in use speech recognition, okay, which is what is provided by React speech recognition. Yeah, so that is essentially what allows the app to know what you're saying, yeah, and translate or convert that to text, and then we'll send that text to GPT. Yeah, so we'll import speech recognition. Okay, and use speech. Okay, recognition from React-speech-recognition. Yeah. Oh, did we not install this as well? Right, let's check out package.json. Right, it seems like we didn't. Yeah, so let's go back to terminal. All right, let's do yarn and react dash speech dash recognition. All right, hopefully this shouldn't take long. All right, it's done. And let's restart the app. All right, and let's go back to VS Code. Now, if we go back to our default page.tsx, if we still get an error, and that is because we need the types. Yeah, so we should say install missing types packages. Because we're using TypeScript, yeah? Okay, so if this doesn't work, okay, all we have to do is go back to terminal, right? Oh, it does work. All right, it took a while, yeah, for TypeScript to recognize that, yeah? Save, okay. And let's go to our home component, our home here. Okay, what we're going to do here is we'll say constant. Let's get the transcript, which is what you have voiced out, yeah, to your mic, yeah. And whether whether React speech recognition is listening to you. And also we do need to reset the transcript, yeah. Yeah. Right, so these are three things that we need, right, in order for this to work. All right. So now that we have this Boolean listening, okay, we can go down to our app and say, hey, I only want this icon here to only appear when we are listening. Yeah, if not, we'll use the other icon instead, yeah. So let's say listening, okay, and if we are listening, okay, as mentioned, we use this orange icon. If not, we'll use the other icon, yeah. Okay, but we'll use the same styles with the exception of the color, yeah. Yeah, that should do it. Save that. Save. So by default, we shouldn't be listening. So if we refresh the page, okay, let's wait for it to load. And there you have it. Right now we are not listening. And the icon is white. And of course it looks different. Yeah. So as you can see, when it turns orange, that means, hey, it's on, man. Yeah. Okay, but now it's not a button yet. So let's use a button to wrap around this icon. Yeah. So we'll say button. And yeah, just a very simple button. Okay, and we'll say on mouse down. So that includes whether you're using a mouse on a desktop or maybe if you're tapping and holding it on a mobile device, right, that caters for both scenarios. Yeah, we'll call a function called start listening, which obviously we have not created yet. Okay, but we'll create soon after this. And then the reverse on mouse up. Yeah, so that's when you let go of your click that you were holding on to or your finger if you are on a mobile device. Yeah, so we'll say stop listening. All right. And then let's close the button here. Yeah, let's close it. Okay. There's an error over there. Yeah, so now we need to create the two functions. Yeah, listening and start listening. I mean, stop and start listening, yeah? So let's create them over here. This will be start listening. So all we are doing here is calling React speech recognition. Yeah, so speech recognition. All right. dot start listening, and we need to set continuous to false. Yeah. So what this continuous does is for supported browsers, once the listening has started, it will not stop. Yeah. So you do not need to maybe click and hold on to the button or tap and hold on to it. Yeah, but the support for this is kind of limited. So for now, we'll do it the non-continuous way. Yeah. And of course, we need our stop listening function. So this is just the reverse. Yeah, quite straightforward. Yeah, save. And we shouldn't get any errors here at the bottom. Yeah, so that's good. Okay, but now we need to style the button. Let's not forget about that. Yeah, so remember at the start of the video, okay, there was a circle around this mic icon. Yeah, so we need to style it properly using Tailwind. Yeah, so let's do that. Okay, so let's do rounded, full. Yeah, that creates a circle. Yeah, give it a width and height of 28, which is around 112 pixels. Yeah, it needs a border, a white border. Yeah, and yeah, I think that's about it. Let me just save that. Right, you can see now. Okay, there's a circle around the icon of the mic. Yeah. Okay, but it looks weird. So to fix that, instead of doing this here, okay, we are going to create a div around the two icons. Yeah. And have the style here. Okay, and for the button itself, okay, we'll have a different style. Okay, we'll say give it a full width, right? 100%. All right, give it an auto margin, maybe some padding. Of course, we need a cursor pointer. Yeah. What else? Okay, let's make it absolute, right? So it stays in place. And make it flex, maybe flex row. Save that. And there we have it. You can see that now the icon is smack in the center of the circle. Yeah, but we need some padding as well. So right, some padding on the axis. Yeah. Right, so now you might notice something weird. Hey, why is it appearing with the orange button? Yeah. So we need to hide it if we have not started the conversation yet. Yeah. So, okay, let's see how we can do this. Right, so if we cut this entire portion here, you know what? Okay, let's modify this portion here to say if we are not started, we will display this portion here. If not, we will display this portion here. Yeah. Let's see how that goes, yeah. Okay, and of course, once again, we need we need a single wrapping fragment here. Yeah. Right, save that. And we shouldn't see that mic icon. Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought, yeah. All right, so if we click on this button now, all right, wait for it. All right, there we go. You can see that our initial instruction loads and appears with the mic icon. Yeah. And the initial text and the orange button is gone. Yeah. All right, next, if we want to see what we are saying into the app, okay, we can make full use of the transcript that we have gotten here, right? So let's display here as well. Let's put it right before the end of the button, yeah? So, okay, another div. We can just say transcript. Save. So for example, right now, if I click and hold on to this mic button here, if I say, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, notice that, hey, what's up, man, appears as text, right, on the app in the right next to the mic icon, yeah? So that means, hey, the app is actually listening to what we are saying and converting it to text, right, by using React speech recognition. I would say for most scenarios, or rather from most of my testing, it is actually quite accurate, yeah? All right, let's do some simple styling here. Some padding along the x-axis, padding from the top. Let me just increase the size and give you a max width so that it doesn't go overboard, yeah? And let's save that. Okay, that's kind of weird actually. Nope. There we go, much nicer, yeah? All right, so now what we want to do next is to have this transcript be sent, right, as part of the conversation to our endpoint, yeah, so that GPT can give us the list of suggestions, yeah? All right, so to do so, okay, we will need to use an use effect, right, to keep track of the transcript, yeah? Right, so over here we have created a use effect. Obviously we have not imported it from React yet. Okay, so it is important to note that using use effect means that we need to clean it up properly. Yeah, and the reason why we are using use effect here is because if someone has said something, okay, that means our transcript will be longer than 0. Yeah, that means we need to send that transcript, okay, to the conversation. Yeah, obviously we have not created this function yet, so let's do that now. Okay, let's say function continue conversation. Yeah, so obviously this will be string. All right. Okay, so remember that at the start of the video, there was an animation where there was a loading animation. Yeah, so that loading animation is the state when the app is thinking. Yeah, so we need to identify that state. Right, so for that, we'll just use a simple local state variable. Let's call it if thinking. Yeah. Okay, a simple boolean, if you may, yeah. And over here, we'll say set if thinking to be true, yeah. All right. And we will clear the response. Yeah, since we're going to get something new, yeah. Response, clear it. All right. And we will create a new GPT message based on the current transcript. Yeah, so new message, okay, obviously of type message equals to row user content text. Yeah, basically we're just getting the entire transcript as the content. Yeah, and after which we need to reset the transcript. Yeah. All right, and okay, we need to update the conversation. so that we send the updated conversation back to GPT, back to the endpoint, in the store. So messages equals to conversation, messages dot push. Right, so this is still not updating the store yet, and then we'll say set state conversation messages. And the reason why we are creating this separate constant messages is because we don't want to wait for the store to be updated. We want to send the updated conversation right away, to the GPT API service. So we just say send conversation to GPT messages, and this time we'll say it is not the start of the conversation. So we'll say false, save that. Right, so now this should not give an error. Alright, but over here, what we want to do is to set a type of the bounce, if you may. Because we want, well, not exactly, but we want the app to automatically get whatever you have said, and wait 2 seconds to make sure that you are not saying anything else, and then use that transcript to send to GPT. So which is why we need a set timeout. So this will be set timeout. Alright, and our block will be wrapped by it. Let's give it 2.5 seconds. And of course, make sure you clean up this use effect. So we need to clear the timeout. This is very, very important. And of course, in our continue conversation, in our use effect, we need to make sure that we also add the required dependencies in the dependency array. And because of that, we will need to change this and use callback for this. If not, React will complain. So constant continue conversation. We'll use callback. Alright. And of course, here we have our dependency array as usual. So we need to add a few stuff to our dependency arrays. A dependency array conversation, reset transcript, send conversation to GPT. Save. So it says that there's an error because cannot access continue conversation before initialization. So we need to move this function up. Right, continue conversation, we need to move it before use effect. And now we need to import use callback as well. From React. And now send conversation to GPT says, hey, you need to use callback for this as well. So let's do that. Same thing here. Constant goes to use callback. Right, same thing here. Let's put our arrow here and our dependency array here. This needs to be async as well. So let's do that here. Save. And the error is gone. Alright, so now if this works, right, if we click on let's go, and then if we provide the pieces of information that this model needs, right, we should get a list of suggestions from our endpoint. Let's go. All right, let's wait for the instructions to load. All right, and then let's say Japan lively places first week of May. All right, this will take a while. Let's see what we get from the endpoint. Yeah. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is the response from GPT. Right, you might notice that we are getting the response, but there is a lag in between while waiting for this response to appear. Right, so this is where we would want to add that loading animation. Yeah, and for that we will need Lottie React. Let me just check to see if we have added it properly. Search for it. No, I don't think so. All right, let's go to our terminal again. All right, so we'll do yarn add Lottie-React. This should take a while. And we are done. All right, let's start the app again. And let's go back to VS Code. All right, and let's go back to our starting page.tsx. Okay, so we will need to use the if thinking local state boolean that we created to know when we want to show the loading animation. Yeah. Okay, so for that, let me just bring in a JSON file that I have already downloaded previously. Yeah. That should allow us to get or display the loading animation. Yeah. So let me just do that real quick. Let's create a new folder called animations. Okay, so now under source folder, we have a new folder called animations. Okay, I've downloaded two JSON files here, which Lottie-React will be using to display their loading animation. Well, we'll just be using one of them. Yeah. Okay, do not worry, I will have this in the free source code as well. Yeah. All right, so now let's import Lottie-React because we need that. Yeah. So import Lottie from Lottie-React. Okay, and we also need to import that animation as well. Okay, let's call this loading animation from animations. Let's use loading.json. All right. So next, if we go down to our render block again, okay, we want to say, where should we put this? Okay, obviously it's going to be the started block here. And let's put it above. Yeah, let's put it above everything in this block. Yeah. So we'll say if thinking, and then we'll just display the animation. Yeah. So we can do that by saying Lottie animation data equals to our loading animation. Loop is true. Okay, because we want it to constantly play. Yeah. All right. And maybe give it some simple styling via TailwindCSS as usual. Yeah. All right, save that. Okay, let's refresh the app. Okay, and let's see how this looks like. All right, let's click on let's go again. All right, and if we use the mic now. Hi, I want to go to Japan on the first week of May. I do like lively places. Right, you can see that loading animation appears. Yeah. Not in a very, it looks good, but it doesn't go away though. Yeah, notice that it doesn't go away. That's because we have not set this if thinking to false. Yeah. Yeah, so once we've gotten some results from GPT, we should set this to false. Yeah. Right, so let's do just that. So that will be under send conversation to GPT over here. Okay, let's find where the function is. Yep, found it. Yeah, so over here we just need to set it to false. If thinking to false, yeah. Right, and that should hide it. Okay, we'll also want to hide the mic button all the way at the bottom. Okay, but now, okay, if we refresh, and let's try this again. Let's say Japan lively places first week of May. All right, the loader appears again. But it should disappear once we get the response from GPT. Yep, there we go. All right, next we want to hide this header text, which I just highlighted, and this mic button all the way at the bottom, right, when the loader is displaying or animating, yeah, with that spinner. Yeah, so to do so, let's go back to our render block and to our header here. All right, and we'll say not if thinking. Yeah, so only when it's not thinking, then we will display this header portion. Yeah. Save that. Same goes for the button, right, over here. Right, this portion that I just highlighted. Yeah, so we want to hide this as well when, okay, in two scenarios. All right, so when the loading animation, okay, when you can see the loading animation spinning and when the results are out. Yeah, so we don't want this button here anymore. Yeah, when you have the results. Yeah, so let's change to accommodate for that. Yeah. Okay, so that will be this button over here. All right. So we'll say not if thinking. And okay, we want to check for the list of results, right? So which is why we need to. So if we go back to our shared store, right, you can see we have this suggestions, right? So this is our list of results that we want to grab from the store, right? So same thing as how we have gotten the response and the conversation from the store. Okay, we'll grab the list of results. Of course, right now it's empty because we didn't populate it, right? So this will be suggestions, which is, let me just check. Yeah. Also a list of suggestion and area suggestion items. Yeah. So we use shared store. Right. Use shared store. Okay. Once again, we will only select the suggestions here. Yeah. Right. It's quite similar to what we did for the conversation and the response. Yeah. Right. So save that. Okay. Of course, it will give us an error, and that's because we haven't finished this conditional statement here. And we'll say suggestions dot length equals 0. Yeah. So whenever there's no response. Yeah. Okay. And we'll just put the entire button in it. All right. Equals 0. And let's bracket this whole thing to make it easier to identify. And we'll say n. Right? Okay, let me just indent it in, right, so that it looks, it's easier to read it, yeah. All right, save that. Okay, and let's try the app again. All right, so click on the button, Japan first week of May, lively places. All right, and now we have the results. Okay, but notice that this button at the bottom, right, the mic button is still there, and that is because we have not done anything to populate, right, or to update the list of suggestions, which is what we're going to do next. All right, next we want to work on creating the list of suggestions, right, so that we can display a proper list, right, of suggestions, right, each with its own image. Okay, because right now, right, this right here, right, is just HTML, right, text, right, it's not in a properly styled list, yeah, and which is why it is time for us to go to our list folder here, okay, on the left or right above me, yeah, and let's create a new component called list. All right, and I do have a code snippet that I really should be using more often, yeah. So this is something that I have set up previously for Next.JS functional component, yeah, so just for client components, right, so tab, and I can say list and list props. For now, I'm going to keep this empty, okay, because we want to create another component, okay, and you might have guessed it, and that is a list item component, right? So this is for each and every of the order suggestions in the entire list. Yeah, so this is list item component. All right, so in each list item, right, we will have the ID. Let's do, okay, a simple number will do, right? So this is just for displaying a number, yeah, next to the name of the place. Maybe we need the URL of the image as well, so that we know what image to display. Yeah, and we need the name of the place. Yeah, so let's call that list title. And lastly, we need the description of the place. Yeah. Right, so these are the 4 things that we need. Okay, all right. And for now, let's do a simple displaying of the. Okay, there's one more thing we need to do here, and that is to put this item props here, right, so that we can use it, yeah. And we'll say props.list title for now, yeah. Something simple, and we'll come back to modify this later on, yeah. Right, so save that and go back to list, right? So this is where we will get the items from, right? The default page.tsx, and use list item to render them, or render each and every suggestion item. So we need an array of suggestion items, yeah. All right, same thing here, we need a props as well, so we can get that list items, yeah. All right, save that, and here we just do something simple. Okay, we will just return or look through using map. So props dot list items dot map. All right, very simple. Okay, nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, and each will be a suggestion item. Okay, we'll need the index as well. Okay, so this is not to use it as a key, but to just display it as a number, yeah. All right, and here we'll say return list item, yeah. Okay, and ID you guess it, there'll be number or the index, yeah. And list title will be each dot place name, right? The name of the place. List description will be each dot description, all right. And as for the key, right, the key will be the ID, yep. And as for the image, right, for now we just keep it empty and save, right? So that is it for the list component, yeah. Right, so let's go back to our page.tsx, right, to start to populate the suggestions here, right, so that we can use our newly created list component, yeah. All right, we're back in our page.tsx, our root page. Okay, so in order to leverage on that new list component, okay, we need to get the results, right, and process it, right, so that we can create a list of suggestions. All right, and to do so, let's go to send conversation to GPT. Let's find that function. All right, found it. All right, so over here, okay, after we have formatted, okay, so this is what we are using to display what you see on the right, all right? But, okay, here we need to say if, right? Remember we have this boolean here, if start, yeah? So now we're going to say if not if start. So basically, if this is not the start of the conversation, we know that, hey, this is the response that will return the list of results, yeah? And we'll say suggestions equals to process response, GPT response, yeah? So obviously we have not created that process response function yet, so let's do that now, yeah? So over here, let's create a new function. Let's call this process response, yeah? And let's have the first parameter as GPT response, which obviously is going to be a string, all right? And this process response function will return an array of suggestion items, yeah? Okay, so what we're going to do, okay, so remember that this string of text here has a lot of breaklines, slash ends. Yeah, so what we're going to do is, first up, to get the list of suggestions, return, right, they are all separated by an slash n, all right. Okay, we have to import suggestion item here, which is already imported here. We just need to save that. Okay. Okay, the error is because we haven't returned anything yet, which is fine. Okay, we'll get to that, yeah. Right, and we'll initiate a string array of suggestions, yeah. Because we are going to split this whole entire passage of text by slash n, yeah. And by doing so, okay, we can have the first item at index 0 be this, and the second item be this, and third and fourth and so on, yeah. And of course, the eventual list of suggestion items, okay, let's create one. Right, so this is going to be suggestion item array, and we will return it, right, so that we do not get this error here, yeah, because now we are returning something, yeah. Okay, but of course, in between, we are going to do all the processing, yeah. All right, so now, okay, we need to look through each and every of these suggestions, which is basically, once again, this will be index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, 3, and so on, yeah? So let's loop through the suggestions. So let's use a for each. Yeah. And each should be a string. Okay. And once again, we need the index, right? Just to check, to make sure that we are not processing the first index. Yeah. This should be string. And we need another bracket here. Yep. All right. Yeah. So we need to check to make sure that, okay, we do not process the first index. Yeah, because the first index is just an intro passage of text, or rather a sentence of text, which is not it is not something that we want to be part of the list. Yeah. So let's ignore that. Yeah. Okay, so let's add a comment, say we do not want the first index because it is not a suggestion. Yeah. Right. So if it is not the first index, right? I mean, it is not index 0. Yeah. Okay, we'll get the first character, which is going to be the number, right? So for example, if this is an index 1, we want the first character, which is at index 0, and there is a number here. Yeah. Okay, we want to check if it is a number. Yeah, to make sure that what we are about to process is either, for example, in this case, 1, Tokyo, 2, Osaka, or 3, Hiroshima. Yeah. Okay, we do not want to process, for example, this last passage of text. Yeah. So we'll say first character, first char, string equals to each suggestion 0. Yeah. So remember, a string is an array of characters. Yeah. So if you do this to a string, you are getting the first character of the string. Yeah. So let me just add a comment here. Here we are getting the first character of the string. Yeah. All right. Okay, next we need to check if this is a number. Yeah. All right, so to do that, let me just create a helper function all the way at the top. Yeah. Let's do function. Let's say is number. Yeah. And we'll pass in obviously a string. Okay. So all we are doing here is creating this helper function to check if this string or character is numeric. Yeah. Or if it can be converted to a number. Yeah. So let's say return not is none. Yeah. Right? Not a number. Right? That's hence the not at the front. Yeah, to reverse it. And we try to convert it by passing in the string. And that's it. Yeah. So this helper function will help us check if the first character is a number, right? Or not. Yeah. Right. So over here, we'll say we then check if the first character is a number. All right. And we'll say if is number first char. Right. If so, right. So if it is a suggestion, right, we get the place name, yeah, with the number in front of it. Right. So what I mean by this is, okay, we need to get the name of the place, right? Just the name of the place, right? So that means Tokyo, right? For example, right? Because if we want to get the image, right, from Google that corresponds correctly, okay, we need the name of the place, and we'll be using that name to do a search, right, automatically. Yeah, hence we need the name of the place. Right, so if you notice here, this whole first suggestion, right? The name and the description, right, is separated by this hyphen, yeah, which is what we'll be using as a token to split the string. Yeah, so let's say split token string equals to hyphen, yeah. And just in case, because sometimes instead of a hyphen, right, it could be a colon, yeah, which is what I just highlighted. Yeah, so just in case, yeah. So if each suggestion dot index of, okay, we'll check if there is a colon right here. Okay, -1. Okay, we'll say split token equals to colon. Yeah, we'll change the token that we'll use to split to get the name of the place and the description of the place split out. Yeah, so we'll say split suggestion. Once you split out a string, you get an array of strings. Yeah, equals to each suggestion dot split, and we're passing the split token that we just created one line or two lines above. All right, and we'll get the place name with number string, right? And we want index 0, right? Because after splitting it, right? After splitting this passage by the hyphen, right? You get this portion here with 1 Tokyo and this portion here, right? So this is index 1. This over here is index 0. Yeah, so hence we want this split suggestion 0. Yeah. All right, next. Okay, we need to get just the name of the place, right? Without the number. Yeah. Right, so we can get the place name from above, right? But it could be followed by a dot or a bracket. Yeah. So that means it could be 1 dot, which is what we're looking at now, or it could be 1 bracket. Yeah. I mean, it's possible. Yeah, so let's say let token. So same thing as above. We'll say by default, we'll do a dot because from my countless attempts of testing it, seems like we're getting dots more often. Yeah, so let's go with that. Yeah. Right, and we'll say if place name with number dot index of, right, if we have a bracket in it. Yeah, so once again, not equals to -1. We'll say token equals to, okay, a bracket. Yeah, very straightforward. And lastly, we'll split using that new token, split place name. Once again, is a string of arrays. Sorry, an array of strings. All right, dot split using the new token. All right. And lastly, we can get the name of the place. Yeah. And they'll be at index 1. Right, so what we are doing here is basically, let me just zoom in. Right, over here, this 1 dot space Tokyo. We are splitting it using this dot here. Yeah, and we are getting index 1. Yeah, because index 0 is this number 1 here. We're just getting Tokyo, which is what we need. Yeah. Let me just zoom out again. All right, so now that we have the name of the place, we can also get the description of the place. Yeah, so place description equals to split suggestion 1. Yeah, so that is what we split just now. Okay, using this hyphen, we get this index 0 and this index 1. Yeah. So now we are getting that index 1, which is essentially the description of the place. Yeah. Okay, let's zoom out again. Okay, and now that we have the name of the place, the description of the place, yeah, we can create the new suggestion item. Right, so let's do that right away. So constant new suggestion item. Right, we need an ID. This will be for the key in the list item. Yeah, and we'll say crypto.random UUID. Yeah, so this is a way for you to generate a random UUID without downloading a package such as UUID. Yeah, but you can do that if you want to. Yeah, place name and description. Let's do place description. Okay, so this is a shorthand way of saying this is assigned. We're using the same assignment here. Yeah, that was a short way. Okay, but I do prefer using this long, this long way of writing it. Yeah, and lastly, we just push this new suggestion to process. Yeah, so new suggestion, save that. All right. Okay, now we can use this process response function. Yeah, which is over here. Yeah, and all we have to do now is to update the store. Yeah, so let's do that. Use shed store.set state. Yeah. Okay, and we'll focus on suggestions. Yeah, and we'll pass in the suggestions and save. All right. So now, okay, because we are going to update the store, okay, with what we just did, and we are at the same time getting the list of suggestions here, okay, which is what we are checking, right, to make sure that over here, right, that this mic button doesn't appear when we have some results in the list. Yeah, so if we refresh now, and let's try this again. Japan lively places first week of May. Alright, so we should not see that mic button anymore. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now that we have actually created and updated the store with the actual list of suggestions, we need to actually display them in a list, right? So let's get to doing that, right? So we will need to modify this line here, or rather do something with it, right? Because right now this is actually just displaying the HTML text. Yeah, there's no formatting and whatsoever with it. Yeah, so we'll say, okay, hey, if I'm no longer, or rather if the app is no longer loading or thinking, that means the response is back now. All right, let's do a bracket here, and we have some suggestions. Yeah, so let's do suggestions.length greater than 0. So if this is true, yeah, we will display, let's display using our list component. So list, right, list items equals to suggestions. Yep. Okay, if not, right, if we do not have any results, this is where we will display this formatted HTML text. Yeah, and that's it. Yep. So if we save now, right, notice that now instead of displaying or that formatted HTML text, we are only displaying the name of the places. Yeah, so you can see here on the right. Yeah. If I zoom in, you can see Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. Yeah. So let's zoom out again. And that is because, right, in list, yeah, we are looping through the list items. Yeah. Okay, but in this item, we have not done much yet. Yeah. So let's focus on list item right now. All right. So here in list item, if you recall the previously HTML text, okay, first we have the list, or rather the name of the place, and then the description of the place. Yeah. So since they are stacked in a vertical manner, okay, we need to style it in such a way we are using flex and flex column. Yeah. And maybe some spacing in between each of them. Yeah. Save that. You can see now there are some spacing between Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto. All right. So remember at the start of the video, we have an image. Yeah. So I'm going to use a simple image here. All right. For now, let me just put this empty, and we need an alternate text. Let's use props.list title for now. Yeah. Okay, this will give an error because Next.js is complaining why are you not using their image. Okay, but for now, okay, I'm just going to use a simple image tag instead of the image from Next.js 13 because I still find it somewhat buggy. Yeah, so to remove this curly yellow line, use this ESLint disable next line and add next/no-img-element, yeah, to remove that warning. All right. Okay, we'll remove this first. All right. And we will put, say, okay, let's wrap this image in a div. Yeah, so we separate the image, the place name, and the place description. All right. Okay, so next will be the name of the place. Yeah. So let's do. All right. So this is the name of the place. So that is list title. If I save, it should look like this because right now there's no image yet. It's fine. Okay, let's style the text for now. Okay, I'm going to make it bold. All right. Okay, and remember we had a number before the name of the place. Yeah. So to do that, okay, I'm just going to do this and we'll do, let's say, props.id +1. Yeah, and we just add a bracket right in front of it. Yeah, so now we have 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, in front of the name of the place. Yeah. All right, so that is for the name of the place. Let's move on to the description of the place. Yeah, so that is very straightforward as well. We'll do props.list description, save that. There we go, right? It's quite straightforward. Okay, and okay, we want some proper spacing, right? On the left and on the right of the text. Yeah, so we'll say, let's have some padding on the x-axis. Yeah, okay, maybe slightly more. What about 12? All right, looks good for now. Yeah. Right, so you can see now we are properly styling the name of the place and the description of the place. Yeah. And what we are missing now is the image, right above each and every item. Yeah, so for that image, okay, we'll use a very simple local state variable for the URL of the image so that we can update it once we have performed the Google search API. Yeah. So over here, we'll say image link, and we'll declare this simple image link as a string, a local state variable. Yeah. So we'll say image link, set image link, right? And of course, this is a string. Let's import that from React. Yeah. Right, save that. So for now, once again, we will not see any images. Yeah, because we haven't exactly caught our image API. Yeah, which is why next, okay, we need to create that service for getting that image. All right, next, let's go to our call once again. Very important. Yeah, and let's go to services, and we'll be creating a new service called image service.ts. Yeah, and in this image service.ts, okay, we will only have one function. Yeah, so this will be export async, right? It has to be async function. Let's call this get image. Yeah, and of course we need the URL, okay, which obviously is going to be a string. Yeah, and we just do a simple fetch. Yeah, result equals to await fetch. Okay, and okay, we just say method will be obviously post. Oh, sorry, it should be get. Yeah. Okay, and we're just going to get the results as a string, right? Using await, and then result.text. All right, and okay, remember that I mentioned that Google, right, for this custom search API, right, Google has a API specification, right? So we have already created all these types here. Okay, we can just straight away use this Google search result and get the results, right, which are the items here, okay, directly from the response. Yeah, so we'll say constant Google search result, okay, which is obviously of type Google search result. I'm just tab so that it will VS Code will automatically import it. Yeah, equals to JSON.parse result string. Yeah, so this will convert it from that JSON string to our Google search result. Yeah, and we just want the first image. So to do that, we just get result item, which is going to be of type search result item. Yeah, and remember in this Google search result, yeah, there is a list of items. Yeah, so we can say dot items 0, and we just return result item dot link, which is the URL of the image. Save that. Right, and basically that is it for our image service. So let's go back to our list item so that we can actually call this service and get the URL of the image so that we can display it to the right for each suggestions. Yeah, so list item. All right, we're back in list item. So over here, we're going to create a new function called retrieve image. Yeah, I mean, it's just a simple function, right, where we will get the URL of the image, right, based on our search query, right? Obviously, we have not created this URL yet. Okay, and get image, we need to import it from our newly created image service. Yeah. Okay, now we need to define this URL. Okay, so this is where your search engine ID and your Google custom search API key will come in handy, right? So hopefully you have already created them in your env file. Yeah, so make sure you have done so, right? If not, please go back to one of the first few chapters in this video. Yeah, right? So we are defining our URL here, right? So this is where we'll be using template, which obviously we have not installed yet, right? So let's go back to package.json to check it out. Yep. Okay, so what we need now is actually a package called template. Yeah, so that will allow us to work with especially environment variables easier. Yeah, So let's go back to our terminal to add that right now. All right, I'm going to clear that. I'm going to do yarn add just dash template, right? And we're done. Clear. And let's restart the server. And let's go back to VS Code. All right, now that we're back in VS Code, okay, we can use template here. Okay, tab, and that will allow VS Code to import that automatically. And we'll say routes. Okay, remember we created routes as well. Here. Okay, remember we have two routes here. One is for the endpoint where we communicate with GPT. And right now we are going to use this new route that we created. It's called get image. So basically this is hitting that Google custom search API. And we are searching for images here. We are using your API key here. All right. We are using the search engine ID here. And Q is your search term, which will be passing in the name of the place. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to list item here. So routes dot get image. Yeah. And here we'll pass in the three constants that you saw in the routes. So for example, right, with just template, if you use this format here with double curly brackets, opening and closing, right, whatever is between them, right? For example, here we have Google custom search key. Let me just copy that and go back to list item, right? So over here, you can pass in whatever you want, yeah, anything you want here, and template or just template will replace, yeah, this right here, which is here, with whatever you just type. Yeah, I mean obviously it's not going to be this, but this is how you can leverage on just template. Yeah, it's quite handy. Yeah, right. So over here we'll do process.env.google custom search key. All right. Okay, next will be, let's not forget about the search engine ID. So that is something that the Google custom search API requires. Yeah. So same thing here, process.env.google search engine underscore ID, comma, and lastly we have search underscore term props.list title. All right, save that. Okay, and we just need to update the image link, yeah, with the new link to image. All right, save that. And now we need to call this retrieve image function. Yeah, so even though I'm not usually a fan of doing this, but for this demonstration, yeah, we use an use effect, yeah, to call retrieve image. Okay, and run it. Okay, when this component is mounted, yeah. Okay, and of course we need to import use effect from React. Save that. Okay, so right now the image won't magically just reappear. Okay, we have to actually rerun the entire thing. Yeah. Okay, so let's refresh the app and let's try this again. All right, let's go. All right, let's say Japan, first week of May, lively places. All right, let's see if this works. If we can see the image or images. Yeah. All right, so we are getting the responses, but not the images, and we have an error. Right, so this means that we are not getting any responses. Yeah. So there's something that we could check here, because okay, if we go to next.config.js, okay, so there could be a chance where okay, it is not getting the env values properly when we call process.env. Yeah, so for Next.js 13, okay, you might need to do this, right? So in next.config.js, okay, we need to specify the env here. Yeah, so make sure that this is same as what you type in your .env file. Yeah, so we can say OpenAI underscore API underscore key. Same thing here. So this will be open. Yep, exactly the same. Right, so let's do the same thing for the Google search API key and the search engine ID. Yeah. Okay, so process.env.google custom search key, and lastly Google search engine ID and process.env.google search engine ID. Save that, and we'll have to restart. We might need to restart the app. Let's restart it just in case. Yeah. So let's go back to terminal. All right, and let's do a yarn dev once again. And let's go back to our VS Code. All right, and we're going to retry this again. And if this works, we should see 3 images, right? One for each of the suggestions. Let's go. All right, and let's say once again, Japan lively places first week of May. All right, let's see what we get from GPT. Hopefully we can get the images. There we go. Right, look at the images. Yeah. So first we have Shibuya, Tokyo. We have a very nice image of it. Same likewise for Dotonbori in Osaka. And of course, Fushimi Inari Shrine, right, in Kyoto. Yeah. So you can see that now our app, right, is getting those images, right, automatically based on the suggestions. Yeah. Okay, let me just make a small minor improvement, because okay, this might seem anal, but I do prefer ample spacing, yeah, between my text and images. So I'm gonna say padding 4. Yeah, so we get some spacing in between the name of the place and the image. Yeah, so this looks nicer. Yeah, all right. So now it looks good, but actually there's just one more thing that we need to do. All right, now if you remember at the start of this video, right, with the demo, the app was speaking back to you. Yeah, right now it is not doing so, right? So in order to add that feature, right, let's go back to terminal. Yeah. Okay, and let's close the app for now. And we'll have to add react-speech-kit. So what this does is it basically does the reverse, right? So React speech recognition, okay, we are using that to convert our voice to text, and using that text, we're sending it to GPT to get a response back. Yeah, but for React speech kit, we are using it to convert the response from GPT and have it be spoken out, right, via voice. Yeah, so let's add this, which shouldn't take long. Okay, and that's done. Let's restart the app, and let's go back to VS Code. All right, so back at VS Code, if you go back to page.tsx, our root page, okay, we will need to import some stuff, mainly use speech, yeah, synthesis from React speech kit, yeah. Okay, we might need to change this to single quotes. Okay, what is the error here? Okay, we might be missing the types. Right, sometimes it takes a while for the error to resolve itself. Yeah, sometimes it lags. Yeah, sometimes. Right, so basically for React Speech Kit, okay, we do need to get two things from it, right, that we need. So firstly, okay, we need the speech, or rather the speak function, yeah. So let's do speak, comma, and voices, yeah. So we'll do use speech synthesis, save that, all right. Okay, so we are still getting the red squiggly underlines. Yeah, so you can see that there's an error here. So we might need to add the types for it, yeah, because we're using TypeScript. So let's go back to terminal for now. Okay, and let's do a clear. So we can do yarn add types / react - speech kit, right? And it says that it's not found. Okay, it's fine. Okay, that means we need to do the other way, which is let's restart our app. Okay, if this doesn't work, okay, we can go back to VS Code. It's fine. And in VS Code, in the root directory, we're going to create a new file. Let's call this types.d.ts. And over here, we'll just say declare module react - speech kit save. Yeah, and let's go back to page.tsx. And now you see that the error is gone. Yeah, so that's how you can resolve that error for this type of scenarios. Yeah, either way. Yeah. All right, so now to have the app speak out some text, okay, all you have to do is use the speak function that we just have here. Right, so first up, let's go to our send conversation to GPT, right, function, because we are getting the response here. Yeah. So we'll say speak. And for the text to speak, we'll pass in GPT response, which is what we're getting from GPT here. Yeah, from the send query service or the GPT service. Yeah. And we can define the voice. Yeah. There are a few voices you can choose from, but I'm using the first index, which is usually English. Yeah. If I recall correctly, if you change the number here, some of them might not be English. Yeah. All right. So basically, this is just using text to speech, right? To have the app speak out the response from GPT. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Yeah, it's quite straightforward. Yeah, actually. Yeah. All right. So save. All right. So now if we try the app again, let's refresh that. All right. And now if we click on the let's go button, when the initial instruction appears, we should hear the app speak out that initial instruction. Yeah. All right. So if we click on let's go. Okay, now we have the results and the initial instruction. And okay, so now it's not speaking out any voices. Yeah, so obviously this is not working. And that is because over here to the left, okay, we have not updated the dependency array yet. Yeah, because we added speak and voices. Yeah, so we are just going to update the dependencies array with speak and voices. Right, save that. Okay, let's refresh the app. Okay, and let's start this over again. So hover our mouse over let's go, and let's go.
Hi there. As an event planner, I'd be
Yeah,
happy
so
to
now you can
suggest some
hear the
places for you to
initial
visit.
instruction.
To
Yeah,
help me narrow
basically
down
the
my
app
recommendations,
speaking out
could you please provide
whatever
me with the
the
following
text
information?
is you're looking at
1.
right now.
What is the name of the place you are interested in visiting? 2. Do you prefer quiet or lively places?
Okay, we'll just
3.
wait for
When will
the
you be visiting this place?
speaking
Please
voice
provide the date or
to
date
finish
range.
up, and we'll continue with our input. Yeah, okay. So next, okay, let's say going to Japan in May. Lively places, please. All right, let's see if we are getting the voice response for our suggestions as well.
Great. Here are
Nice.
3 lively places
Yeah.
you may enjoy visiting in Japan during May.
Yeah, so now
1.
it is recommending us Shibuya.
Tokyo, known for its bustling streets, bright lights,
And then you
and
move on
famous
to Osaka,
pedestrian scramble.
Dotonbori,
Shibuya is one of the
and
liveliest
Kyoto.
neighborhoods in Tokyo. It's a great place to experience the energy of the city, try some delicious street food, and do some shopping. 2. Dotonbori,
Of course, the
Osaka.
voice
This area
is something you
famous for
can
its neon
change,
lights,
yeah,
lively
based on
atmosphere,
that voices
and
area.
delicious street food. You can try some local specialties like takoyaki and okonomiyaki while taking in the sights and sounds of the bustling streets. 3. Japan, Kyoto. If you're looking for a lively cultural experience, Japan is the place to be. This historic district is known for its geisha culture, traditional tea houses, and beautiful old buildings. You can stroll through the streets, visit a tea house, and maybe even catch a glimpse of a geisha or mayako. I hope you enjoy your trip to Japan in May.
Damn right. Yeah, I mean, if you have not been to Japan, please do so. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so there you have it. Our very kind of fun and interesting AI voice app that we did and built together, right, using GPT and Next.JS 13. Right, so how was this? Was it fun? Right, let us know in your comments below. And as usual, if you have not already done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Yeah, it's not necessary, but it would be very cool if you did. Yeah, and as always, stay awesome and stay safe. Cheers, man. Bye.